So I will tell you something about our circular office building we are about to build. I will focus mainly on the procurement story, and then after me, Stefan, a member of the winning consortium, will tell you more about the building itself. First, a little bit about Kamp C. We are the Center for Sustainability and Innovation of the province of Antwerp, and our main focus is on the construction industry and the built environment. We operate mainly by physically doing things, by making things tangible, show things, and a big focus in that is bridging the gap between the academic world and the market. So that's also what URBCON is about. Actually, it's universities and companies working together, developing this circular concrete mixture for real life applications. And that's exactly what we also want to do with our circular office building. It's about putting theory into practice. And this man right here, Confucius, provided us with our mantra throughout this process. So to us, it's not about having a perfect circular building, if that even exists. It's more about the journey and sharing our knowledge, sharing our know-how build up throughout this journey, our successes, and even more important, I think, our failures. Why are we doing this? Well, I assume everyone knows about circular economy, but I just want to emphasize how much of a contributor buildings and the constructions in Europe are to our current take, make, and waste model by showing you these figures. Besides the environmental aspects, there's a lot of room for improvement in other aspects of conventional procurements. Writing hundreds of pages of specifications down to the last screw and then awarding it to the lowest bid as its consequences. And well, it takes a lot of time to write such a complex specification. And by the time that it reached the market, the contents are often already outdated. And plus the suppliers have no room for innovation because everything is described so much down into detail. It also, these type of contracts also tend to lead to a lot of conflicts and formal letters, legal battles, because there's so much detail in it, and it creates a very vertical, hierarchical relationship between the principal and the building or the constructor. Well, awarding merely or mainly on price also causes margins to drop. Contractors need to drop their margins. The quality will drop. They will lead on risk to their subcontractors, who in turn have smaller margins, go to subcontractors. The structure gets very complex. We get even more conflicts, and these subcontractors don't even know what the building they are building is all about, so there's very little involvement. So how do we address all of these problems? We think there's three main systematic changes needed. The first change is a change in design culture. We need to start shifting our horizon, thinking in the long term, design for disassembly, design for repurposing, thinking about dry connections. A lot of buildings that are barely 30 years old are being demolished just because it's financially easier to just take them away. Second is a change in value definition. Instead of looking at the actual cost, we should look at more at total cost of ownership, life cycle assessment, environmental impacts, social impacts, and also considering alternative business models. For example, the as-a-service models, they place the responsibility for the material over their entire lifespan with the actual supplier. Another big part of a big change is the change in collaboration. I talked about this conflicted model. Of course, it would be a win-win for everyone if we could collaborate in a more constructive way. And a big part of that, I think, is creating involvement. If your electrician is not just pulling cables, but knows he's building some bigger, beautiful thing, the quality will of course increase. And I think another big step in changing the way we collaborate is looking at procurement more as the start of a relationship instead of just a punctual transaction in time. So that's it for the theory. Time is really limited to go into every detail, but I will tell you something about how we handled our procurement in these 5 steps. The first step is getting our ambitions straight internally within our organization. Well, we had to discuss what do we want to get out of this? Why are we doing this? And that's why we internally came up with these 4 ambition pillars, we called it. And after having done that, we refined them further into what we call an emission matrix. And that was to us internally a very important document because we grabbed back to it at all stages of the procurement just to make sure we weren't losing track when we had to evaluate, just questioning ourselves, what are we doing? Are we still on the right track? The next step, of course, is making these ambitions clear towards the market, possible suppliers, possible builders of our building. And we did that at first instance by making this vision document. It's a 1-pager in which we try to formulate very clearly and briefly what this is about, what do we envision. The next step, well, instead of just launching a procurement and hoping someone would show up, we thought we had to warm the market up, to provide them with some know-how and some insights into what we were about to do. So we organized a series of master classes. And a big, very nice side effect of these master classes was that the participants got a chance to connect and to start teaming up, because that was a big demand for us. We needed a construction team, a building team right from the start. A good side effect as well, I think, is that participants that weren't really interested in this concept, well, they just lost a trip to Antwerp, but they didn't have to go through the entire specifications and documents. So then it came time for the first step of our 2-step procurement, the selection phase. We provided everyone with a selection guide, quite a brief document repeating our vision and ambitions. I should maybe tell you some basic details about our building. We chose for a design, build, maintain, and energy contract for the next 20 years. We don't just want a building next year, we want to be able to use it, of course, with minimum effort. And we want one building consortium from the very start. In the selection phase, well, we had some hard criteria, some certifications, some very basic things, but the main qualitative selection criteria were these 3 criteria. So we expected from every candidate max 2,000 word statement on these 3 topics: creative thinking and hands-on approach, the holistic approach about the design, build, maintain, and energy, and how they and we are going to work together as a team. And these 3 topics, if you remember what I just told about these 3 systematic changes, they relate very well to it. Creative thinking and hands-on approach relates to a change in design culture. The holistic approach relates to the change in the value definition, and the teamwork, of course, to the change in the way we cooperate. So we had 7 candidates at the first step. So we had to narrow it down to 3 candidates with this selection note I just talked about. It was a big success for us already because these 7 consortia contained over 50 companies, big construction companies, smaller companies, architects, engineers. So it was really acknowledged that this was a necessary thing to do, and the market really needed it. So at that stage, our procurement was actually already a success. We come down to step 4. These 3 consortia, we provided them with some more elaborate documents on the building itself and on the process. More elaborate, but still not smothering them in papers. And this cartoon right here tells you the basic thoughts behind it. We focused in these documents, we focused on what we wanted, but not on how we wanted it. The taxi driver, well, he's in traffic every day. He knows his way best. We should just trust him. Then, of course, after providing these documents, it's called a dialogue. I think the official name is a competitive dialogue procedure. Participants had the chance to go into a dialogue with us at 3 different stages, so they could ask us questions, clarifications about our specifications, but also point out errors. Sometimes all 3 of them would say, well, this is absolutely not feasible. And when that was convincing to us, we also had a chance to refine our specifications after each of these dialogues. And then, well, it came time for the awarding, of course. We had these 3, well, actually one of them unfortunately stepped out. So 2 of the 3 provided us with their best and final offer. And it came time to selecting the winning consortium. And well, often it's all about the money, of course, but in our example, it was not about the money at all, because we told parties up front what our budget was. And the best offer, the best value for money would get this amount. We did that, well, because we didn't have any more money, but also to make a bold statement. It's a very big misconception that it's not legal not to award on price. We're a public procurer, and what we did was perfectly legal, and we did not award on price at all. We do not preach that this would become a standard, but it's just to make a statement. We award mainly on these 3 main topics. So the sketch design, circularity in general, and an action plan. We also had a very elaborate matrix underneath it with a lot of subtopics weighed differently. And we poured them all into an evaluation matrix, and actually basically points scored them individually with a very varied jury with internal people, external people. And at the end, Kamp Circular, containing these different companies, came out on top. And we are now in the process. Well, I just received an email that our building permit has been sent in, so we hope to get an approval within a couple of months. I think Stefan, the next speaker, is going to tell you more about the design itself. So that was it from my part. Thank you.